So we got a recoil starter here from a 5-horse Briggs Stratton, small engine. The cord broke, and this should try to wind it back up, which is this way. You can hear the spring just clicking around in there because it's not catching. So on the inside here, you can see that center steel tube that goes through is flared out so that it holds that recoil in place with the dogs. And spin that, those dogs should pop out like so. Try and put it in the press and see if it'll press out from this side so we can get that spring reconnected and then maybe press it back together without destroying anything. So I'm making a custom tool here, like a kind of a punch. It's going to have a couple steps on it. One with it'll match the inside diameter of the tube in the starter, and then another one that's just about the size of the outside diameter of the tube, so that I can push it out without damaging the end. Made this tool here. It's got a pilot diameter here that's going to fit inside the tube, and then a larger diameter that'll fit through the rest of the starter, but hopefully push the tube out. And I'll put a rag down inside of this pipe coupling here to catch the parts that are going to come out of the bottom. There's a spring in there, some other stuff. I don't want to lose it, so put that back on there. Insert the tool. Make sure that's centered. Give it a couple pumps here. Alright, so it all stayed together. So what there is the tube with a flare on the end here, and then there's a small washer, and then there's a conical spring in there, and then you got the plate and the dogs and stuff. So here's the tube that we've just pressed it out from this end. It's got the conical spring on there, and the flat washer, and then it's got this pressed piece here, and the dogs. So we'll lift this whole thing out of here now that this retaining piece is not holding it anymore. And hold on to those dogs. Make sure you wear goggles when you're doing this, because that spring could pop out. Here's the outer end of the spring right there. It's hooked around that plastic piece. Going around trying to evenly pop this thin steel washer out of here, holding onto the dogs on the other side so they don't fly out. Right. Gotta hold those in. There's some springs in there too. So it looks like this came unbent here. This should be bent around in 180-degree turn there. So I got some duckbill pliers. I'm going to try and see if I can bend the end of that spring around back into a 180. Okay, that's what you want, something like that. And then that's going to fit down, and it's going to catch on that edge right there, hopefully. If your spring does come undone, you get it started again. You hook the tab in the outside of the pulley there. Just got to wind it around like this. Just keep working it. Just going to put this on here so I don't lose those dogs. Try not to let this happen. It's quite painful winding these springs up over and over again. So while you got this apart and that cover off, I like to put a little light oil in there. This is very similar to 3-in-1 oil. Keeps that spring from rusting up, getting hung up. I'm going to pop your thin washer back in there. Just a press fit. and your spring should be hanging down below that. Put that in now. Caught right away, that's good. Wind it up till it gets tight and then back it off. Okay, that's tight. I'm going to go back one turn because you don't want to allow the rope to pull the spring to where it's overstretched or it'll end up breaking again. Screwdriver in there, keep that from unwinding. And that. Again, away from the end. You don't want it too close because too close to the end could come undone. Pull it through. Get the knot so it's not going to catch on anything. And let it back in nice and easy. Make sure not to let the spring go slack. So, good. I'm going to take, there is a small, like a nylon washer that goes on this side of this plate here, and then you got your conical spring in the steel washer. So I'm going to put that back in that hole. Let's get it started. Make sure your those holes are pushing the dogs out properly. You're not crushing the dogs when you put it back together. Take it back over to the press. Got our tool. I'm going to use this just a piece of steel stock here to press that back down in there. When you get that back down in, this washer should be just about flush with this larger stamp piece here. You want to test it out before you put it on and make sure those dogs pop out and that they go back in properly. I didn't have it pressed in quite far enough and the dogs weren't popping out because that spring needs to have some compression on it in order to actuate the dogs. So make sure that's working and cut off your rope to where you want it. You want to make sure that it pulls back in nice. I got a lot of extra rope here that when the spring's almost all the way unwound, it just can't pull it in. So I'm going to cut off about a foot because I already got like 7 feet of rope in here. And then take your rope and feed it through your handle. Make sure if you got this kind of handle that you put this on first and then this one, then pull it out to where you have enough rope but it still pulls in nice and strong and the handle isn't drooping down. And make sure you got a good knot in there and leave some extra at the end of the knot like it did on the inside so it doesn't come undone. Should be good.